resolve all that issue. The second, third, we treat it just like first reading. We don't lose anything as far as time, because we'll hear from people at the end of the meeting, just as opposed to being at the time of the vote.
Right.
And it is a law we're passing, and people should have some impact or input in it.
So let me, before we get started on everything here, we've got to go through some stuff here for our pre-meeting, and Sean's here, and I wanted him to, I don't have to sit here the whole time, but a couple things I want to talk. We're going to do the script review and kind of go over. Jesse kind of brought up a couple things about that for our first, second, and third readings and so forth. And then Dallas has something, and now that Mike's here, so the whole council that's going to be here. Sean's going to be late today. He's talking to the county commissioners, so he won't be here. So I'm going to have Dallas make an official, see if people are open to wanting to suspend the rules. I'll have him explain it a little bit more. First off, Sean is here to talk, or not talk, but to have, and Tim as well. I think Sean and Tim are here. They're here for the Downtown Development Authority. They're going to be on it, and so they're just here like the other day when Pete was here. And so, does anybody have any questions for Sean or Tim or anything about being on the Downtown Development Authority?
Mayor.
Yes.
I don't know, question for them. They're selected by an outside selection group, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and so.
I mean, I don't wish it didn't kind of feel like we were reviewing.
Well, I think council, and I can't remember when it was, council had asked for, and I can't remember when they said it, they wanted to see anybody that was being put on from like an entity like a DDA or anything to have the candidates come down, not to do an interview, but to meet us and talk to us.
That
Oh yeah, it was Dallas that asked.
I just wanted to see what people, who they were if I didn't know them. You know, you go around appointing people to things, and you don't even know who they are, never seen them. And I just thought it would be a good idea to know who we're appointing, and maybe you might know the person by seeing them on the street or something, and so.
I can't remember, that was a few months ago, wasn't
It was
it?
a while back.
Yeah, you asked for that. So that was where it came from. So
I just didn't want to completely be the rubber stamp. I said I'd thrown my rubber stamp away. So if you don't even meet the people and some other agency who says, appoint these people, and you're the one with the authority to appoint them, then you're just rubber stamping it, by and large. That can be okay with some people, just what.
Thank you guys for stepping up.
yeah.
Yes.
Do you guys have anything you guys want to say to the
Yes,
council
thank you.
really quick or anything?
Allow.
Come on, Sean.
Do you have a medical emergency you need help with in about 20 minutes?
Yes. Tim, you have anything you wanted to mention?
I just want to say thank you. It's been a while since I've been on a city board and county board, and I look forward to working with the DDA and kind of using all the gray hair experience to hopefully nurture everybody along.
When they appointed me to the council, most of my really good friends said condolences to me.
This is different than the council.
That's true.
You're just bragging that you have really good friends now.
I had one.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate you coming down.
I had more after I got appointed.
So I'm going to have John talk to us a little bit about the script, specifically the second reading of the International Property Maintenance Code, which is on page 3. And then I'm going to kind of have him go over that, let him know how that's going to roll, and then what we'll do. So, John, would you mind explaining a little bit of that?
Not a bit. May it please, Mayor,
Yeah.
Council. We had heard you at the last work session, and it was clear that the decision of the council was to not adopt the property maintenance code. In fact, the staff was directed to come up with an alternative code that would address just life safety issues. And so, in looking at this, we thought it would be appropriate that the public be informed of that, the vote, that the second reading would go forward. Of course, it wouldn't be the usual script at this point. I would request that the council make a motion to approve the reading of the second reading of the particular amendment or the particular ordinance. So instead, I think we've changed the wording there that basically there's the disposition of it will come before the council. And also the council directed at the last work session that they did want to have, even though the decision had essentially been determined, that the members of the who had signed up to speak be permitted to speak. And so we wanted to let them know, hey, look, this is where we are as the council, that you have, we've made the decision, we've actually told staff to go back and redefine this, but you're still gonna be able to speak if you choose to do that. So you're basically telling the public, shooting straight with them what you did at the last work session. For those who didn't know, I suspect some would have known. And also they don't have to worry about whether or not you're going to follow through on your statements at the work session, because you will have voted to repeat or not adopt the property maintenance code. And so that's the way this would break down, and then they're able to be called up and they can speak and address it as they wish. But that way, you have people that know what's going on, know what the council's done, and maybe they can come up with some ideas as what they would like to see in a property maintenance code. So this would be, I would think, a good way to be sharing straight with the public as way is to promote civility, and maybe some good creative suggestions with respect to the revised ordinance, which you instructed will come up in the future.
Does that make sense? Yeah, Chris, go ahead.
That does make sense to me. I like the way it's laid out, but given some thought to what Dallas and Jesse said, after we go through that, and then open it up if anybody would like to speak to us, should we pull these restrictions and let anybody that wants to speak to us?
So, Mike, Dallas made a request to pull the.
Yeah, I understand,
Yeah,
and I
okay.
think that's probably not a bad idea to do that.
Anybody else against that? My only reservation is, you know, we had people sign up and follow the rules for that, and that's my only reservation behind it.
You know, me too, and
But I get where
of
I
course,
understand where you're coming
my whole
from.
world is follow the rules, but
Yeah.
when you look at it and say, well, I can't justify the rules,
Right,
because they don't make sense, then they don't make sense.
right.
So, maybe
Plus,
we.
they can do it anyway. All you're doing
You're
is shuffling
right.
a 15-minute time frame.
I,
That's all
you know
you're
what,
doing.
I think we should give some consideration to Jesse's recommendation that each reading be treated as the first reading on all ordinance. Whenever we're passing a law, that's gonna be a long-standing impact to the community, clearly.
Okay.
Be treated just like the first, and that means it's public comment, it's discussion among us. It won't be chaos, it won't be anything different than what we do, it'll just change the order in which people speak to us. But if we can't rationalize why we do it, and I can't think of a single reason, yeah, I can. I would like to go home early. So if I make you jump through hoops, I restrict the time limit on it. But it really doesn't, because they can speak at the end, so why don't we adjust that? Unless we cannot, unless there's a,
No, I think you, excuse me.
Yeah,
Mayor,
you bet you.
You can move to suspend the rules of order or your standing rules. And this would be just basically a standing rule. And so therefore, it would just take a motion to suspend the rule, and that would have to pass by a majority of the council, so it would be a majority of 5, actually.
The other thing too, Chris, is that if you don't require them to sign up, if we remove that requirement,
Actually, for this
I bet you less people come down. Because when you call, you have to make the effort to call in on Friday and sign up, they will probably come down. As opposed to, I think I'll go down. You don't have to sign up, I think I'll go down, they get busy, wasn't in their minds, they may not come down. And I would suggest, you all give thought to disposing of the rule where they have to sign up. I think it's really superfluous. It's kind of a little violation of free speech. You have your block, come down, speak to us. If you feel like doing it, you don't feel like doing it, don't come down.
Mike and then Jesse.
I don't see anything, I almost don't see any downside to opening up the comment period before you decide on what you're gonna decide. And I can see a lot of upsides to that, because, you know, to me, and having been on the citizen side of going to a lot of boards hearings and all that kind of stuff, There is nothing that's more frustrating than, okay, we're gonna vote, we're gonna decide, we're gonna do blah, 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 blah. Okay, now, do any of you have any comments on any of this stuff? Oh, that is just incredibly frustrating, and I think it's anti-democratic and everything else. I'd be all in favor of saying, you know, yeah, that if you're here and you wanna talk about this, let's talk about it before we, you know, hear from you before we make a decision.
And
The only thing that I can see as an advantage, that there might be some advantage to saying, putting it out there, that if you wanna come and you wanna talk about ordinance number 3, call and let us know, so that we'll have some idea if there are gonna be 400 people show up to talk about this, or only one, or something. Maybe we might wanna think about that.
Jesse?
A quick question, Dallas, and then I was just gonna expand on some of that since Councilman Huber wasn't around when I was mentioning that. When you proposed that, I guess motion to suspend the rules, are you going to suspend it for the first, or the second reading, agenda item number 5, and then also agenda item 6, since there's 2 ordinances that we're going to
We could do it that way.
discuss?
That's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it would just be to say that what we're going to do for tonight's meeting is people who wanna make comment, they usually wait till the end of the meeting. You can still do it at the end of the meeting, but if you're making comments about this ordinance, we're going to suspend the rules and allow you to do it now. And it's less confusing. The more fiddling around with this, like saying we're probably gonna vote it down and maybe you don't wanna talk, I just think that that's maneuvering people. Let them get up, and the other thing I think is, and Charlie has convinced me of this, and Bob has, they may neither one of them know this, but I think they should speak their 5 minutes without any interruption from us or any lectures from us. Because we've had that recently, and I've done it myself, you did it one time, and I thought that was probably something that was unfair to that person.
Well, and I felt
couldn't-
that backfired on
I
me,
couldn't
frankly.
complain to you about it, cause I've done it myself. So, but then I did wanna bring it up. I think it's important, let them have their 5 minutes, and whatever comment you wanna make, after they're done.
You're a wise man, Dallas.
Yeah, when I did that, I was hoping that I would allay some of her fears by telling her about
Well, I told people,
That didn't
you
work
told
with
me
me.
not,
No.
remember when you told me not to call you a judge anymore?
Yeah.
I told some people that, you know, a couple of people said, well, tell him to quit acting like a judge.
I'm sorry, but you have that labeled for life, so it's.
Hey, you do, you're gonna have
Yeah,
to, that's
Chief.
about it.
So if I suspend the rules for the speaking, then what would you like me to do? Would you not like me to, people that did sign up ahead of time and not call them up? Or
I would call them up
first,
in order, and then.
and then
I would
allow
let-
anybody else to come up?
Yeah, I would let people know we're gonna allow everybody to speak that wants to, but we'll call them up in order, the ones that went in.
Okay.
And please, no duplication, so we know that won't really jive.
And the issue is treat them like they're guests and be nice to them. These are our citizens who vote us in. Be nice to them and make them feel that their comments are something we wanna hear.
I
just
agree
think
with that, I agree with that, but what I'm not gonna tolerate tonight, I'm gonna let everybody know, is I'm not gonna tolerate people getting, to be disrespectful to us or to this body. I think we still need to adhere to that, and I'm gonna say that, just like I did when we did the P-flag ordinance, since we're opening it up, and I will, if somebody gets that way or gets belligerent, I will stop them from talking.
Decorum is the word. The one thing that I would find helpful, if you could suggest nicely to these people, if they have specific sections that they wanna comment on, instead of just making, you know.
They don't though, Mike.
Yeah.
You just gotta let them go.
Yeah,
you
but
try to
if
put in
they
all
do,
those
yeah.
rules,
But
we're
if-
back in the
if
courtroom. They
oh,
can't
sure,
do it.
You bet.
They
yeah.
can't do it.
No, I totally agree with
5
you.
minutes, let them say what they want. The only thing I really wouldn't say you gotta be nice to us. I would just
You
say,
can come in.
we ask that you keep your comments. If somebody calls me a communist or a Nazi, I'm gonna stop right there and say something to them. I don't care what else they say. But I'm not gonna try to tell them to be nice to me, because most of them are PO. And I read those emails, and all I'd send back is say, here's what I'm gonna do. I didn't tell them, you know, what I thought of their goofy ideas or calling us all names or anything else. But if they're up there and they say I'm a communist or a Nazi, I'm gonna say something.
So we'll do that and we'll move forward with it. And we'll take Chris's and Jesse's suggestion about wanting to bring that in about first, second, and third reading being, or second and third reading being like first reading, and we'll have that on a discussion ASAP as well too. Yeah.
If we might, I guess I'd kind of like to wait and have Carter be involved before we change. I mean, tonight, I don't have a problem doing this, but I think we need to have Carter give us a chance, because what we're really doing, if we have certain issues, we could drag these meetings on for 4 hours a night, or 5 hours a night. And that's generally not productive for anybody. And so I think realistically what's gonna happen here tonight is after your 15 people, everybody will say, I heard enough. And you're not gonna have a lot of people want to stand up and call us communists. Or they're entitled to do
We
that,
might
I don't
get it-
care.
We might get it said. We might get it said.
More likely Nazis, I think.
Did everybody get a copy of this? If not, I've got copies for
I
you to
didn't get
take,
one.
if you wanna take one.
My
Anybody
only
else?
suggestion for you, Mr. Mayor, just be your normal nice guy self
will.
and you'll go through pretty well.
Play
You
nice.
try to be a tough guy, it doesn't work.
Oh,
There you are.
Mr. Mayor?
yes, please, John.
So just for the record, basically suspending the rules as far as the speakers go tonight, and we'll consider.
And we'll have that
first and
conversation
second,
Later.
On this
second,
one
third
issue.
later.
Yeah. So on this
I'll
one-
make the motion and then it'll, if it's seconded, I think Jesse says he will second it, so
We'll
we'll
do that.
vote on it and go about our business.
That'll be
For tonight's meeting only.
And does everybody agree that that's on this one issue
Yes.
for
Just
tonight?
For tonight, this one issue. I will also, if we're running super late, I'll probably, especially if it's after 8, I'll probably call for a short recess. Allow people like Krista who can't get up and go to the restroom to do that really quick, just in case we go later than 8 o'clock.
Is this executive session gonna take very long?
The exec should not take too long.
If you took a break, we could come in and do the executive session and then go back out there.
I think the agenda's been published to the public.
So we can't do that, right? Okay. Any other questions besides the IPMC code or the ordinance on the agenda that anybody else has any questions on? Agenda review, do you have anything, Andrew?
I'm going to give a quick city manager's report on the CDBG funding, and both Joy and Liz are going to be in the audience if there's any detailed questions that council may have. But other than that, I think the rest of the agenda is pretty straightforward.
Okay, I think that's all we've got. If nobody has anything else, we'll get ready, give us about 5 minutes.
You're dead to me. Dead to me.